members of the high table. On my right, we have Dr. Isaac Small, who is the Vice President of the Sierra Leone Medical and Dental Association. You are welcome. And of course, on my immediate left, we have Dr. Samba Jalo, who is the General Secretary of the Sierra Leone Medical and Dental Association. And of course, on the extreme left, we have our Deputy Financial Secretary, Dr. Mariama Bangura. Colleagues all are members of the First Estate. On my personal behalf, and also on behalf of the executive of the Sierra Leone Medical and Dental Association, I want to welcome you to this press conference of our beloved association. We are thrilled and honored to have you all here. The welfare of medical doctors in Sierra Leone has been appalling and has not been given the due consideration it deserves. As Sierra Leone joins the world in scaling up its health service delivery to be one that will have quality, that is accessible and affordable to the populace, the Ministry of Health and Sanitation had a summit 3 months ago with the theme Transforming Healthcare Delivery Towards Universal Health Coverage. Now, one of the main components in achieving universal health coverage is to have skilled health workers providing quality people-centered care. Now, in ensuring the retention of these skilled workers but also after ensuring the retention, to make them give their all at their place of deployment, you must agree with me that these health professionals must be adequately motivated. Against this background, the Sierra Leone Medical and Dental Association had its media congress on the 3rd June 2022. And in that congress, the theme was improving the welfare of medical doctors in Sierra Leone, the way forward. And in that meeting, we deliberated upon important issues affecting medical doctors in Sierra Leone, and the task was given to the executive of this association to craft a document which is supposed to be presented to the Government of Sierra Leone through the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. Now, as we plan this our media congress, certain issues developed which clearly affected the output of a medical doctor in Sierra Leone. So therefore, the next comment will be tailored looking at 2 different aspects. One, the urgent needs of medical doctors in Sierra Leone, and of course, the other part will be the summary of the resolutions that we made in our media congress. Now, medical doctors and other health workers were shocked and dismayed with the abrupt deduction in the monthly take-home pay for the month of May, and of course it has repeated for the month of June 2022, with no form of communication from either the Ministry of Finance or our line ministry, that is the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. When this incident occurred, there was a response from the heads of all health workers in Sierra Leone. That is, for us medical doctors, the Sierra Leone Medical and Dental Association, the Sierra Leone Nurses Association, the Pharmacy Society of Sierra Leone, and of course the Association of Community Health Officers. We held a meeting and deliberated upon this abrupt deduction. So our next point of action was actually to write a letter to the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Health and Sanitation and copied a lot of other major stakeholders, including the Minister of Finance, the Financial Secretary, the Accountant General, the Director of the Health Human Resource Management Office, of course, the Minister of Health and Sanitation, the Acting Chief Medical Officer, and of course the Director for Human Resource of Health at the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. And we kindly requested them to furnish us with information why our monthly take-home pay was deducted, abruptly without informing us. And of course, in that letter we demanded, which was written on the 6th of June, we demanded that they should respond to us within 4 working days. On the 12th of June 2022, a meeting was convened by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health and Sanitation, and all these bodies were adequately represented. And of course, in that meeting, there was the Minister of Health and Sanitation who was present for, I think briefly for about 10 minutes. And also the Deputy Minister was there, the Permanent Secretary, the Acting Chief Medical Officer, and of course the Deputy Director of Budget from the Ministry of Finance. What we were informed was that there was a team of experts from the World Bank that actually stated that the wage bill of the government is very high. And as such, the Finance Ministry was looking at ways to cut down on its expenses. And so therefore, they decided that a certain allowance which was given to all health workers should be stopped with immediate effect without even having the courtesy to inform us beforehand. And of course, all the health workers in Sierra Leone, from their representation in that meeting, demanded that this money which was deducted from the take-home pay should be restored unconditionally. And of course, at the end of that meeting, there was a resolution that the Permanent Secretary was supposed to write a letter to the Ministry of Finance explaining to them the resolution that was taken in that meeting. And of course, that was done. On the 15th, the Permanent Secretary actually wrote this letter, and of course, all the stakeholders were copied. Of course, the executive of this association has been following that development. And as I speak to you, I am not aware that there has even been a response from the Ministry of Finance. This was actually explained to the general membership of our association. And it was agreed, the general membership agreed, that we cannot continue like this, and the association is humbly requesting that the deduction made from the take-home pay for the months of May and June to be unconditionally restored, and this should be reflected on the take-home pay for July 2022, including the deductions of the previous 2 months. We are, as an association, not going to accept anything that falls short of this. Secondly, according to the Civil Service Code, it is expected that every civil servant of technical grade 9 or above is entitled to 2 gallons of fuel per day to work, which equates to 9 liters of fuel a day. If you do the mathematics, this equates to 45 liters of fuel per week and about 180, at least 180 liters of fuel per month. And if you go down the line again, you do the mathematics, it equates to about 2,340 liters of fuel per year. Now, the simple thing is doctors are not receiving their fair share. Now, in 2021, that's the last calendar year, myself, I received yearly a total of 190 liters. A whole year, which was given in 2 installments. I think the first installment was 100 liters and the second installment was 90 liters. There are other colleagues who received even less, about a total of 120 liters. And our association has been trying to negotiate, because this is our rightful entitlement. We have been trying to see ways and means as to how to correct this anomaly. Other officials in other ministries are actually receiving their fair share. So why are medical doctors not receiving it? And of course, as you are all aware, there is a recent hike in the price of fuel. So you cannot have a medical doctor, for example, a house officer, spending 80 to 90% of his salary on fuel. And because you are a technical grade 9, because we are either technical grade 9 or above, you are not entitled to transportation allowance. So the fuel, which is supposed to be given to you, will act as a transportation allowance. We have not been receiving this, and this has been happening year after year. And as such, the general membership of this association came up with this resolution regarding this second issue. One, that all medical officers, all medical doctors, should be receiving this entitlement of 45 liters a week, equating to 180 liters a month. Two, we demand that this personnel fuel that used to be embedded into either hospital programs or directorate of the Ministry of Health and Sanitation's budget to be completely separated. We don't want a situation wherein we will be informed that X amount of loans has been transferred to the hospital and that should cover other expenses, including fuel to medical doctors, because that has been the case. And when that happens, the hospital administrators will tell you that indeed money was sent, but a big chunk of it has been spent on other issues like diet and cleaning of the hospital. Diet and cleaning of the hospitals. Of course, in other institutions, they receive their fair share. So we don't see any reason why medical doctors should be left out with regards to this. Also, it has to be consistent across the board that medical doctors should benefit the way other government workers are. At this point in time, let me inform you, members of the Fourth Estate, that the general membership of this association has debated on these two issues. And of course, we are going to continue our work on to the end of this month of July, so that we allow those who are responsible to actually rectify these issues. If they fail to rectify these issues, the members of this association will not be left with any other option. Because if they don't provide fuel for you to come to work, then of course, you won't come to work. It is clear. If you are not paid as the net take-home pay as what we had in April 2022, then definitely they won't come to work. So in that note, I want to thank you very much for your attention. I'll now hand over the mic to the PRO to continue the program. Thank you.
Thank you, the President of our local association. I think to the first estate, the message was clear. By the end of this month, July, if those issues are not addressed accordingly, and we are not mixing our words, if they are not addressed accordingly, we will be left with no choice but to lay down tools. And lay down tools, it will be permanent until they are addressed the way it should be. We won't go back, we won't compromise. Those two issues are non-negotiable. For others, we can sit at the high table and negotiate. But for those two issues, they are non-negotiable. The fear is our right. We are entitled to it. For the COVID allowance, since we are not informed before it was removed, our backlog should be paid for May, June, and July. Then, if they want any negotiation, we can go to a table and begin negotiate on the way going forward. Because it was given two negotiations. So when it should be removed, we should begin negotiate. Thank you all. So now I will hand over the mic to the Vice President of SLMTA to give the summary of our position paper, which is the second part of the reason that we are here.
Thank you very much, PRO, President of the Medical and Dental Association, colleagues all, members from the media. I want to just continue from where the President stopped. First of all, I'll give a short background into our position paper. The President made mention of the urgent issues that we have on ground which needs to be addressed immediately. Those are the issues that the President made mention of. However, there are other issues that borders around the welfare of doctors in this country that goes beyond the reinstatement of our remunerations that were deducted and the aspect of providing our fuel allowance which we are entitled to. We must know that in this country we are all signed up to improve the quality of care that we provide to our patients, to increase the services, to increase access to our health services for our patients, and in turn to protect our patients from financial hardship, which are the tenets or the basic principles of achieving universal health coverage. Over the years, one of the key pillars or one of the driving forces in achieving universal health coverage has been significantly overlooked, which has to do with the welfare of health workers that are providing the services. This is not the first time we are engaging government after government in order to ensure that the welfare of healthcare workers are met so that we can be able to deliver the high quality services that we are supposed to deliver. I will now go to the other issues that are within our position paper. We have policy documents which govern our practices, which actually governs our progress in the civil service. One of these documents is the scheme of service, which tells you how you progress along the various grades until you reach the highest level of your profession. Over the past years, there have been efforts to revise the scheme of service to meet the current prevailing circumstances that doctors face. These scheme of service have been long overdue, and up till now, the implementation of the scheme of service has not been done by our institutions that are responsible to ensure that we operationalize the scheme of service. So we find ourselves in situations where doctors are promoted or doctors are not promoted when they have the requisite qualification and experience, whilst other personnel are promoted based on ad hoc grounds. So we are requesting that the scheme of service be looked into and prompt actions are taken so that our scheme of service will be fully implemented, as we have all worked on it to ensure that it meets the current prevailing situations. The second issue is with regards our Health Service Commission. I guess all of us know about other service commissions in this country. The teachers have their Teaching Service Commission, and the legal professionals have their Legal Service Commission. In Sierra Leone, the Health Service Commission is an additional bottleneck to our appointment, promotion, and other human resources related issues. And this has happened because over the years, there have been failure to upgrade our Health Service Commission Act so that it is given the full mandate to man the affairs of health workers when it comes to issues of appointment, promotion, remuneration, and other related issues in the health profession. We are asking the government to look seriously into reviewing the Health Service Commission Act so that it is made fit for purpose and it reflects the prevailing circumstances that we find ourselves in this country. We are medical doctors, but I usually say we are presently in a diabetic situation. What do we mean by that? We are living in a setting where we have plenty, but we are starving. We are all doctors. We provide free health services to patients in this country. But when we are sick, there is no free health service for us. In fact, you find doctors roaming around looking for their colleagues or begging their colleagues to actually see them, to treat them. There is no health clinic in this country. Very recently, we had two of our colleagues who needed urgent medical attention abroad. We had to contribute out of our pockets to pay for our colleagues to go to other countries to receive those services. How can we be starving in the midst of plenty as professionals? We are significantly asking at this point in time that government looks into the issues of medical allowances for healthcare workers. These are issues that we can sit and negotiate with government about. But we are not going to continue to be providing services to people which we ourselves are not entitled to. Doctors' accommodation. We all know that many a times we find ourselves in situations where we need to urgently run to work to provide services to our patients. Most of us are living in rented houses, and very recently, some of our colleagues were even asked out of the homes that they find themselves. It is a very sorry situation. We are requesting that governments come to the table so that we can sit down and discuss and negotiate about issues bothering around accommodation for doctors. We have a proposal that we put forward, and we are ready to negotiate with the government on those proposals. Finally, in the presentation of the President, he mentioned the issues around having our salaries reinstated to the April 30th levels, which is non-negotiable. However, we want to hasten to say that prior to those deductions, that salary was even not enough to meet our daily needs, and there were not enough remuneration for the services we provide. So as we are requesting that our salaries be reinstated, we are also going to present a paper to the Ministry of Health and Sanitation so that they will present it to the government for our salaries to be elevated to levels that meet our daily needs, levels that meet the services that we provide, levels that will meet our status in society. So that is also on the table for discussion as we are moving forward to ensure that the welfare of doctors are met in this nation. We want to say that we are willing and ready to serve the people of Sierra Leone. That is why we are all here, and we've proven it. We've been providing services. However, we think that our services are not well remunerated and our welfare is not well looked into. Thank you very much for your attention.